So, why am I ditching my Glock 19? Well, over the past year, I've become a little bit disenfranchised with the Glock. I feel like it has fallen behind the times with a lot of the features that they're providing. With each generation of Glock, they really aren't upgrading anything. People are going to talk about barrels and nitride coatings, but that really isn't that much of a feature. As far as barrel accuracy goes, the barrel's going to be more accurate than the shooter. But I never really liked the Glock to begin with. I purchased a Glock in 2015 because I wanted to get a red dot for my pistol, and that was really the only Glock that was capable of handling that. Back then, that was pretty cool. When they released their MOS models, that was pretty rad. So you could just go ahead and put on, a couple of the different available red dots. Mine was the RMR. Since then, they have not really revolutionized anything, and they keep saying Glock perfection, but is it actually perfect? Is it? For me, I don't like the grip. I've never liked the grip. It's like feeling a brick. It's been fine. You can learn to train with it, and everyone will be like, just practice with the gun. Sure, and I have, and I feel like I've become very proficient with my Glock. But as I've been handling some other guns, I have felt like their ergonomics have just felt way better in my hand. I put it in there, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's nice. I like that. First and foremost, the gun that was really doing it for me was the HK VP9. However, it did have a trigger guard magazine release, and as far as ergonomics were concerned, I just could not get behind that. With my first gun, my Walther P99, it did have a trigger guard mag release, which was fine because it was extended, so I didn't have to break my grip as much. As you can see here, that's a pretty comfortable spot for my finger. That's how I reloaded it. While the VP9, it was all the way back here. So I really feel like I had to compromise more of my grip to do that. And then a little while ago, I was shopping around and I saw that they had a button release version of the VP9. This is the VP9 Tactical, which I picked up by HK. Same setup, same everything else. However, it had a button release on the magazine. I think one of the big areas here is this beaver tail. My hand just fits very nicely into that. The finger grooves, I could take them or leave them. Mine fit into them just fine. Same thing with the Glock ones. I feel like the grip angle as well as the groove into the back of the grip is really what sold me on this gun. As far as bringing the gun up too, been lining up with my eye line very, very easily. I do like the trigger as well, and that's something to be said about Glocks as well. Their triggers are nothing to write home about. I've been running this Glock 19 Gen 4 for a long time. As far as the trigger is concerned, it's been whatever. I never upgraded the trigger. I'm aware that that is a possibility. Everyone will just say, just put it in. If it's so good, if it's such a great gun, I don't feel like you should need to add a trigger to it. If you're a competition shooter, sure, but for me, that just wasn't it. I didn't feel the need to put in a trigger. I think I could have practiced on it, and I did, and I got used to it, but it's nice having a great trigger right out of the box. Glock Gen 5 triggers are a little bit better, but they still share a lot of the same characteristics of just being a little bit mushy. I feel like I could have been way more accurate with some longer shots with a little bit of a crisper trigger break. Yeah, train through it, I get that, sure, but there is something to be said about having just a nice clean break. The VP9 trigger is solid. I really like it. It's got a little bit of take up, and then it's just a break. No mush, just take up, break. Take up, break. And I think that's a little bit easier to be a little bit more precise, especially as you're getting to know the gun. Pew, 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 pew. This channel's too cheap for bullets. Over the past year or so, I've been having more and more issues with my Glock 19. I don't know where these issues arrive, but everybody talks about Glock reliability, and of course they are reliable guns. However, mine has been having a lot of issues that I have not been able to troubleshoot and find out what's actually causing those problems. My Glock 19 stovepipes with probably every third magazine. It just stovepipes. Maybe it's a magazine issue. I went through all 7 of my mags, couldn't find anything else. And then I've actually been having a couple double feeds as of late. And these have been like with my brand new like Glock OEM mags that I used to carry, so I don't train with them. They're clean, they're ready to go. I was practicing with them a few days ago, and I had multiple double feeds within one range trip. And I only shot 100 rounds there, maybe a little bit less. And that was a little bit alarming because it was some hard sticks. So I had to really, I had to work that thing to get it out because it was so hard fucked. It wasn't a drop the magazine and work the slide-ish. And so with that, I've lost a little bit of confidence in my Glock. Just with the amount of issues that I've been having with it. I have put a lot of rounds through it, so there could be some stuff that's wearing out in it. However, everybody said, you know, Glocks last a long time. So I started perusing around. Maybe that's something that's just more of a my Glock problem, but I've always liked the HK guns. I ended up testing out that VP9, and damn, that felt good. It felt good in my hand. I like the recoil control, and so everything felt good to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And after shopping around for a while, I found a smoking hot deal on an HK VP9 tactical. I thought those were rad. It was $925, so $75 off, plus a $200 rebate. Pretty good. Now the rebate you have to use in their store, within the HK store, but that's $200 of free mags. I'll take it. I remember when I first purchased the Glock 19, I got it so I could have a lot more holster compatibility, as well as being able to put a red dot on the slide, which was still pretty new back then. In 2015, 2016 is when I picked it up. And I remember holding it, and compared to my P99, it just felt a lot less premium. I feel like it was just more budget, despite it being of the same price point as my Walther P99. There was a lot of just small features in it that I really appreciated. One of those things being an extended magazine release. I definitely got used to this as a new shooter with this, and the Glock 19 just has a regular mag release, and for the first few thousand rounds, I'll tell you what, I missed it. I definitely missed it. The extended ejector, which gives you a loaded chamber indicator. I understand that's on the Glock, but it's way more subtle. If you have that with gloves on, it's terrible. And with this, it really just like first glance, you can see that very quickly. The sights are a little bit higher quality just because you can adjust them for windage and things like that. Not really that big of a deal. And like I said, there's just small little features. It had a little bit of chamfering up top, so it was a little bit easier to reholster, along with some, I don't want to call it stippling, but just grooves along the top, which the whole point of that is to reduce the reflection of the gun in like direct overhead sunlight when you're just looking through the sights. I never really had that much of an issue. I've never noticed that, but that is just that nice little feature where it feels more premium for the same price point. And I did not feel that with the Glock. With the VP9, I feel like it is a marriage between the Glock maybe and then the P99. It's a little bit larger, a little bit more of a chonky gun. It's HK, so it's got HK reliability, and it's common enough that I'm able to find holsters and accessories for it all the same without any issues. I am also able to put on whatever accessories that I want onto the pistol. Right now, I've got a Surefire X300 Turbo. First time using a turbo. Pretty sweet. Definitely has a lot of throw to it, which I appreciate. And it does come ready to mount an optic on it. A bit of a bummer, a bit of a con for the VP9. Its MSRP is $1,000, and it doesn't come with a mounting plate for even the most common, in my opinion, the RMR. So you have to buy a separate plate, either from them or other places, which is either $50 from them or $100 from some other retailers. That fucking sucks. For $1,000 pistol, that shit should be on there. That shit should be ready. When I go to put my RMR on, I can't. I have to go and order another $50 part after I just spent $1,300. Bummer. So as far as setup is concerned, it does have this threaded barrel. I'm not planning on running my concealed carry suppressed. That's just silly. As cool as it would be, that's just silly. However, I like the idea of a threaded barrel, or at least an extended barrel that goes past the slide. So if it gets smacked on something, so if someone's on top of you and you push your gun out and trying to get it, it's one less thing to knock your gun out of battery. I think having a longer flashlight like this X300 will also do the trick, but that's just one more thing. That's very nuanced in my opinion, but that would be a bummer if that's what got me killed, is my slide gets pushed back a little bit just because it didn't have the threaded barrel on it. So one thing that I really appreciate about the VP9 was how positive the magazine release is. So when you push it, that thing comes flying out. Even upside down, you can see how much of a pop it has. And so that's nice, because as these magazines get dirty, they're way more likely to slide free. Sometimes with my Glock mags, you kind of got to They'll shake them a little bit after they got a bit of carbon or dirt. You've had a long range day. But these, I can tell you, it's very unlikely that the magazine is ever going to stick in here just because it shoots them out of the gun. It's not something you need, but once you have it, you kind of like it. I'll tell you what though, with the placement of the slide release right here, the gun has not locked back for me once. And that is just because of my natural grip. It sits a lot lower than a lot of slide releases, and so my thumbs naturally rest on that as I'm trying to get a nice high grip to control recoil. So the slide nearly never locks back on me. That's going to be definitely a training point that I'm going to have to work through, or just getting used to racking the slide each and every time. A lot of people will say, well, it's just, well, it's obviously it's a better gun because it's so much more expensive. It's like, well, that's true. It is a little bit higher priced. Most Glocks go for around $600, and this was $925. So around $300 more. However, it does come with suppressor height sights already, so that's great. And they are tritium. If you like tritium, great. If you don't like tritium, they're not for you. But they are elevated sights, and so I like to co-witness them with my red dot. So if you're planning on putting a red dot on it, you would have to spend another $120 on that already. It's optic cut, so it's ready for that, as well as it's got the threaded barrel. So it does come with some features that make it a little bit more. If you were to outfit a Glock 19 the exact same way, you would be up there in price as well. And then honestly, just the aesthetics of the Glock, it's a fucking potato, okay? I understand that it's a gun, it's a tool. However, if it could be a good looking tool, why not make it a good looking tool? Why not? Why does it have to look like a fucking brick with a handle? I hate it. I hate it. Comparison between the two guns, the VP9 is definitely a little bit longer in both the handle as well as the slide. I think it's a little bit closer to a G17. It does have a 17 round mag, so a little bit more capacity than a regular Glock 19, but like I said, Surefire X300 Turbo on there, and the RMR will be going on there once the plate comes for it. So we're just waiting for that to arrive. The Glock 19, I just had a Inforce APLc, which I feel like was a pretty rad flashlight. It's not a lot of lumens, but I didn't think I wanted a lot. It doesn't have a lot of throw. It's all spill. So replacing it was definitely something that was in my future anyway, but I love how it just sits flush. And then I've got the RMR and the Trijicon night sights. And then nothing else was special about this Glock. It's just like everybody else's, except for mine doesn't work very well. Now, one of the things that sucks about replacing your pistol, you have to replace the whole ecosystem of gear that goes along with that. So if you've got a concealed carry holster, you're gonna have to get a new concealed carry holster. If you've got a drop leg, you're gonna have to get a new drop leg, or outside the waistband holster, whatever setup you've got. So that costs a lot of money. Holsters anywhere from $100 to $200. If you're getting like Safari Lands, $250. You can probably sell them, but then it's going to come at a loss and you have to wait for the holsters to come. So that is a bit of a bummer when you're replacing that. And that's definitely something that stopped me from changing guns sooner, because I just didn't want to do all that. Luckily, I did it at a time when everything was on sale. The gun was on sale, the optic was on sale. I got a sweet rebate on the gun, as well as all the holsters were on sale from a company that I really like GCODE. Check them out. Not sponsored though. Bummer. However, that's something to keep in mind when changing it out. So as you are changing out your guns, ask yourself, is that worth it? Is the value that you're getting from the pistol worth all the extra dollars that you're spending on new holsters and things like that? Well, this is probably going to be a pretty unpopular video. I think there's going to be a lot of hate comments on it. But like I said, the Glock isn't a bad gun, okay? It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to get rid of yours. I'm not saying yours is bad. I'm just saying I wanted something else because mine was feeling a little antiquated. And it was having problems, more problems than I think most people should have with their Glocks. Well, everybody, thanks for being here. If you liked the video, consider hitting the sub button. If not, that's all right. I'll only cry at night. Yet, so just put it in the fanny pack like that. There we go.